Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 18 of my Android development tutorial. Today and over the course of the next couple videos, we're going to be building a big application with a focus on Android Fragments. Now, you guys seem to be having some trouble with Fragments, so I'm going to slowly build this app piece by piece so that you completely understand how they work. Now, as I mentioned before, a fragment is a sort of mini activity which you can add or remove from another activity. And what's great about them is you'll be able to use them to create reusable pieces that you'll be able to add to your interface. And just like I demonstrated here, what we're going to be doing is making a census app. So what we're going to have is a list of names we're going to be entering as we add people to our little database. And then if you click on any of those, you're going to pull up all kinds of information that you can change and so forth, as well as we're going to take pictures of the people so that we have a picture associated with the information. And we're going to use fragments in a bunch of different ways, but to start off, what we're going to try to do is change the interface depending upon either the screen size, if we have a tablet or what have you, or in the situation in which we have our phone set to horizontal, it will also show all the information on one screen. But the very first thing I want to do is create a custom icon and show you how easy that is to do. Okay, so whenever we want to define a custom icon, what we in essence need to do is create a different version for all of these different folders. So this would be a low or low resolution version of our icon, a medium resolution, higher definition, extra high definition, and so forth and so on. We're basically going to ignore the low resolution and just jump to MDPI, which is going to be defined as 48 by 48 pixels. So if you want your icon to work in that situation, you're going to have it be 48 by 48 pixels. The HDPI folder is going to have a 72 by 72 version of your icon. The X HDPI is going to have a 96 by 96 pixel sized icon, and the extra HDPI is going to have a 144 by 144 sized pixeled icon. So let's go and create that icon. So here I am inside of Adobe Illustrator. If you don't have Illustrator, you could get in Inkscape or GIMP or something like that to create this, and I just went and plugged in this information here for us. And here I have a little Android EPS file that I drew, and I'm going to use that as my icon. So just to keep things nice and simple, I'm just going to come over here and click in here and say that I want to create a rectangle. Then I'm going to click here, and then inside of these boxes, well, if I get that, I'm going to have to come up here and define pixels. There we go, and now I'll be able to define a pixel. And there you can see. I'm going to just come in here, and because I want it to work for all of my different resolutions, I'm going to make this 144 and make this 144 and hit OK. That's going to create a little box here for us, and I'm just going to say that I'm not really particularly interested in what's going inside here. I just want to properly size my icon. So I am going to change this to black, it doesn't really matter, and then change this to nothing so that we don't have anything get in the way. And then I'm just going to grab my little icon here and drag it over inside of my box and make sure that it is roughly the proper size in the center and so forth, and I'm going to get it approximately 144 in size inside of there. Actually, it's a little bit bigger, so let's shrink it down just slightly. Okay, and that's going to be our new icon that we are going to use for our new app. Now, as I have it selected, I know it's proper size. I'm just going to copy it. Then in this situation, I'm going to go inside of Photoshop and I'm going to go new, and I'm going to say that I want this to be 144 pixels in size, 144 by 144, and hit OK. And that's going to create me a little box. I'm going to paste in my new icon and properly resize it so that it fits. Now that I have it resized to pretty much the center of our screen here, flatten that, and I have this blown up, that's why it's blurry. And then I'm just going to save as, and I find some place I want to save it, and I'm going to create a Census app, so let's just say Census app icon, and I am going to save this guy as a ping file. And I'm doing that so that I can have a transparent background for it. Now I'm just going to save it, and now we're back in Eclipse. So now what I want to do is create our brand new application. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to go new Android application project. That's going to open up this guy, and I'm going to call this Census app. And I'm going to come down here and give it a distinctive name so I don't have any conflicts. I'm just going to type in my website, New Think Tank, and let everything else here be exactly the same. Go down and hit next. And in this situation, I'm going to let create custom launcher icon checked. Come down here, hit next again, and here you can see all the default icons. Well, I want to use my own, so I'm just going to go browse, and you can see right here, Census app icon.ping, and use that, and you can see it automatically threw it in there. Now again, it's looking a little bit blurry because I have my screen zoomed in, and I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to hit next. And then for the activity name, I'm going to call this Census app, and it's going to create activity Census app, the activity for me, and then hit finish. And it's going to build up everything, and it's going to throw everything here into our window. Now what I want to do is come over here where we have values, open that up, and I want to open up strings.xml. I'm also going to be using fragments, of course. So I'm going to come down here into the layout section, and I'm going to create something called fragment contact. So I'm just going to right click there, I'm going to go new, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to find Android XML file, open that up, and I'm just going to leave this as linear layout, and I'm going to give it the name fragment contact, and all of your layout files should be in lowercase letters, and then we're just going to hit finish. There we are. I'm just slowly building up all the different pieces I'm going to need. I'm going to want to change strings first, so that's why I moved that over there. And then I'm going to worry about activity census and finally the fragment box. And then just to keep things going, I'm going to be using a model view controller sort of setup here, just like I have with all the other setups. So I'm just going to go ahead and create the classes that I want to use right away. So just come in here, new, and then go class. This guy's going to open up, and I'm going to have a bunch of contact information. So I'm just going to call this contact, and then I'm going to hit finish. And then I'm going to pop over here again, select this, and go new. Come over here, hit class again. And then this guy, I'm going to call it contact fragment. All the different classes I'm going to need. And then come down here and hit finish again. So there we go. We got them all set up, and the only thing not showing over here is the census app.java. I'm going to open that up, and then I'm going to just walk right through here and create everything that we need. Yep, before I do that though, I want to get rid of this menu because eventually we're going to make a custom menu. So let's just get rid of that also. So that's gone. And then the very first guy we're going to be working with is strings.xml. Now I'm going to make this very, very, very simple. So let's just come in here, and I clicked on this little tab down here so we can have this little layout here. I'm going to let this set as census app. I'm going to get rid of the hello world here so we don't have any problems with that. Settings, I'm going to let be settings just like before. And basically, just to start off, I think I'm going to I'm definitely going to want the name for my application, and I'm going to provide it as a hint. So I'm going to have the person get visited with a hint in regards to what information to enter, and I'm going to have this be contact name hint, and it's going to be really simple. It's just going to say enter name. And I don't know if I'm going to do it right now or not, but let's say that I also want to ask for a telephone number. Like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a very, very simple app. So we'll just say phone number hint, and I'm going to use the phone number as like an identification for all the people I meet. So let's just say enter phone number. Alright, so for now those are going to be the only changes I'm going to make to strings.xml. Now I'm going to go into our activity for our census app. This is going to be the main activity, and I'm going to make quite a number of changes to this guy. So I'm going to go down here first to the graphical layout. This is the easiest way I have found to be able to come in here and make these changes. Well, actually, let's bounce over here and just get rid of this text view where it says hello world to get rid of that error. Okay, good. Now back into the graphical layout. Now I'm going to come over here because I don't want to use a relative layout for this. I prefer to use a frame layout. And all this activity is going to do for me right now is it's going to be a container for all of my fragments that I'm going to be adding. So I'm going to come into relative layout, right click on it, and then come down here and click on change layout. This little box is going to pop up, and I'm going to change it to a frame layout. Real simple. And then hit OK. Alright, so it's going to automatically build everything for me. Now that I have this guy selected over here, I'm going to come down, make a couple little changes. I'm going to change its ID because it's going to be a container for all of my fragments. So I'm just going to call it fragment container. I think that's a good name. Bounce out of here, and it's going to say, hey, do you want me to update all of our files? I'm going to say yes, and it's going to do that for me. And if you don't see that message that just popped up, you can opt out of it showing up, but for some reason I always leave it on there. If you do not see that there, what you should do, first off, because I get asked this question all the time, so I'm just going to deal with it right now. Census app. If you have imports inside of any of your Java files that look like this, import, and then you see r dot whatever, you have to delete all of those from your source folder in all of your Java files. Otherwise, it can cause problems with this r.java file, which keeps track of all the resources in your app. So that's something you definitely want to do. Another thing you can do is go into source and then go to cleanup and click on that. If that doesn't make the problem go away, well, then go to help up here and then come on down and do check for updates. Okay, so those are the 3 ways we can get rid of any type of R file errors, and those come up constantly, so that's why I'm addressing them now. Also, I'm getting rid of the menu. I deleted it before, so let's just get it out of there. And then let's jump back over into our activity census app.xml layout. Come down here, open this guy up, and there's all these extra dimension things in here which I don't want right now. So let's just get rid of them. Also going to get rid of this line. I'm going to keep this nice and clean. As you can see here, this is known as the fragment container because it's going to contain all of my fragments, and I don't need to change anything else, so let's just save it. Now I need to actually create the fragment itself. So I'm going to go into fragment_contact.xml, and of course all this code is available in a link in the description for this video. Okay, so I'm going to keep the linear layout for this guy right here, and match parent's going to match, and match parent again, that's all fine, and vertical also works perfectly fine. So to start off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an editable text area inside of here. I'm just going to jump into the graphical layout, come over here to text fields, and I'm just going to go plain text, and I'm going to drag it over and drop it inside of there. And this is, whenever the app gets going, this is always going to be open and ready for you to use so that you can enter in a new person for our census app. Well, I got to give this a new name because edit text 1 is a terrible name. And what I'm going to call it is contact name edit text. Not much better, but it's a little bit better. I'm then going to come down to the hint area. Now when I click on that, it's going to say, do you want me to update? Yes, I do. Okay, go for it. Now I can come down into the hint, click on that, and we already created that. Remember, we said contact name hint. So let's just select that, and now you can see enter name is showing up inside of there. Then we're also going to come over here to, this is input type is what this is. See, it's hiding a little bit. Let's click on that, and this guy pops up inside of here. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to go text person name because that's what it is, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to go down into the regular view for this XML file and see if everything works. I'm just going to let this be set for 10. Contact name hint, that's all perfect. Text person name, that's going to be the type of data we're going to be receiving. Match parent, wrap content, and also request focus. So whenever they get to that part of our fragment inside of the activity, it's going to get focus. Perfect. Love it. Now I'm going to go into contact.java, and I'm going to set up all the information for each of our contacts. For now, of course, this is all going to change. All right, so I'm going to definitely have a string inside of here, and it's going to have the person's name. And like I said before, I didn't put it in yet, but I'm definitely going to have a phone number. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of other things, pictures and so forth. So we're going to define those inside of there. I'm also going to have a constructor, which for now isn't going to do anything, but as the tutorial continues, it will eventually do something. Just leave space in there because I know I'm going to be adding things to it. And then inside of this, I'm going to go source, and then I'm going to come down here and go generate getters and setters. And then inside of this, I'm going to select both of these guys up here, name and phone number. And if you open this up, it's going to be get name and set name. Yes, I want to be able to do both of those things. Insertion last member, I'm going to say after contact in this situation. And then I'm just going to let everything else be there, and then da-da-da-da-da. So there we go. Now I am able to come in here and both get my names and also get my phone number whenever I get into that, and also set name and set phone number. Don't need to do anything else with that. The contact.java file is set up. Now I'm going to go into contact fragment.java and set up all the information for our fragments. Okay, so this guy right here, it's going to extend fragment so that we are able to access all the methods that we're going to want. Save that, and it's going to give me an error message that we need to come in here and import some libraries, and we want to be backwards compatible, so we're going to use android.support.version4, and there you go. Then it didn't pop up the information in regards to the common methods that I'm going to want whenever I extend fragments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here, and I'm going to come into source, and then I'm going to come over here to where it says override implement methods and click on that. And then I just need to sort through all these different things. So one thing I definitely want to show up is on create, which is going to be used to initialize everything for this fragment. And I'm also going to want on create view, which is going to be used to inflate the fragment onto the screen. And that's it. I'm just going to get those two guys, and then I'm going to hit OK. And there we go. Now I got all those different methods that I'm going to use. Everything here is perfectly fine. The only thing I want to do here is create a new contact for this fragment, and I'm going to call this contact. Well, first I'm going to need to come up here and actually define it. I'm going to go private and type contact, and I'm just going to call it contact, like that. And that, of course, is a reference to contact.java, which we just created. And then another thing I'm going to have is I'm going to have an editable text box, and that's going to be contact name edit text. And I like to give them the same name that I define inside of the actual layout. Some people don't like that, but I'm making the program, so that's what I'm going to do. And I leave it up to you. If you guys know me at all, you know that I'm not big on telling you that things have to be done a certain way. Import my library for my edit text. Now I can come down here and define that a new contact needs to be created. And the constructor really doesn't do anything, so we're not going to worry about that for now. And then we have to define exactly what's going to happen whenever we want to inflate this fragment inside of our main activity, which is census app.java. I'm going to come in here, give myself a little bit of room, and what I'm going to do is define my view, and I'm just going to call it the view for this fragment. And what we need to do to create this new fragment view is pass in the layout that we want to inflate, and we're going to pass that into the inflator, which is the guy that's going to inflate our fragment onto the screen. So we need to say, okay, this is the layout that I want you to inflate, and we need to reference it using its ID. It's our ID, so we're going to go R layout, and that's going to show us all the layouts that we've created. And then the one I'm specifically interested in is fragment contact, and there it is. So that's the guy we want. And then what we need to do is to find the view's parent that we're going to be inflating into, and that is going to be container, this guy right here. And then after that we have to define whether we want to add the inflated view to our parent. And in this situation I'm going to say no, I don't want to. Let's actually take this down to the next line. So that's what we're doing. We actually want the parent activity to inflate this, so there we go. Now what we need to do is get a reference to the editable text box, and that's this guy right here. So we're just going to copy that, come back down here, paste that in there, and then we need to cast what is returned to an editable text box, and then we're going to say the view, and in our view we want to find view by ID, and then we're going to say exactly what we're looking for. r.id and contact name edit text. That's why I like to use the same names so I don't get confused. And there we go. So now we got a reference to that editable text area. Now what we want to do is add a text change listener to this editable text box so that we will be able to catch the changes in the names and then update our contact objects. So we're going to go contact name edit text, and to add this we're going to go edit text changed listener, go new, and we're going to go text watcher. It's going to handle that for us. Put in the curly brace, and then at the end of this put a semicolon. And then we have to go get our libraries for our text watcher, and it's going to say, hey, you need to add some unimplemented methods. Perfect. Let's go get them. And it's going to throw them all in there for me. Now I'm only going to pay attention to a couple of these, but either way, it's nice to have us just generate some stuff for us. We don't have to think too much. And I am basically going to ignore after text change and also before text change. So I'm just going to leave those as stubs. But on text changed, what I'm going to do is, remember, we're going to update our contact object whenever the text is changed inside the editable text area. And to do that, I'm just going to say contact dot set name, and then I'm going to go, well, this is the character sequence that was passed in here. So throw that inside of there, and then I just need to convert that to a string to save it inside of our object. And there we go. And then after all of this, we don't have to use this. We can just go the view and return that view. And that leaves us with just census app.java. There we go. Let's jump in here and get this guy working. Now it automatically threw in this activity for me, which I do not want to use. I want to be backwards compatible. So delete that, change this into a fragment activity. There we go. It's even better. And then it's going to say that it wants me to import some libraries. And of course, I'm going to choose the ones that have Android support, version 4. And there you can see, there that is. Then what I need to do is come down here and create my fragment manager, which is going to allow me to do things like add my custom fragments to the activity views. So I'm going to go Fragment Manager, and I'm just going to call this Frag Manager is equal to, and then I need to go get support Fragment Manager. Of course, import my libraries, and of course, make sure that I get the proper library, Android support version 4. Now, after I get the Fragment Manager inside of here, I want to first check if our Fragment Manager knows about the fragment ID that I want to refer to. And to do that, I go Fragment, the fragment is equal to Frag Manager, and then find fragment by ID. And then I'm going to find it by its ID. ID dot and fragment container is specifically what I'm looking for. It's going to need another library. Then I want to check if that fragment was found. Just go the fragment and check if it is coming back as null. If it does come back as null, well, that means I need to create it. And to create it, I go the fragment is equal to new contact fragment, and then I'm going to go frag manager dot begin transaction, because that's what it's called whenever we add or remove or attach or detach or replace or do whatever with fragments using the fragment manager. It's called a transaction. And then I'm going to say add, because that's what I want to do. And specifically, I want to add fragment container, because we know that's not in there and it needs to be. There's the fragment container. And then we need to say the fragment, this guy right here that we created, is specifically what we want to add. And then we're going to say commit, because that's going to say do it as soon as you can. And we're done. Like I said, this isn't complicated. We're going to come in here and we're going to run configurations. And if I typed everything in right, click on new configuration, come over here, there's Census app, make sure I got that set up, come over here and hit run. And our emulator has opened up. Let's open up our app, and there you can see this is the beginning of our Census app, and the very first thing, since we don't have any names inside of here yet, is going to ask us to enter a new name. And you can also see there is our new icon that we created. So there's a whole bunch of things and the beginning of what I hope will be a really good part of the Android tutorial. Please leave any questions or comments below. Otherwise, till next time.